You're listening to the podcast for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders who are tired of the client hustle. We believe sustainable business isn't about chasing new leads, it's about keeping the great clients you already have. Let's dive in. Today's topic is, what does poor retention actually cost you? And I planned on talking about a different side of this. My plan, if you watched the video on Monday, was talking about how to end a relationship well when you have to fire a client or even a teammate once you determine that it's not a good fit. And we have an example of something that happened with us a few months ago at my company. And we determined that this client wasn't a good fit for us. And I say fired. It wasn't like, oh, you're fired. It was like, you're just not a good fit. We're not a good fit for you. You need something different than we can provide. And we want you to get what you need. And so I'll do that topic another time. But today, what's top of mind is even when you do all the things right, sometimes somebody still leaves. And today I want to talk about it from the team point of view. Most small business owners, entrepreneurs, founders, you start off on your own, right? It's just you. And then you have your first hire, and then maybe your second. And so if you're building a team, this is for you. Or if you want to build a team, this is for you. One of the things that I am most thankful for is my team. And I have had some people that have been with me for years, literally. And I take my responsibility as the head ninja, company ninja, admin ninja. I take my responsibility as their mentor, as their leader, as the guide of the community, the person directing things. I take that responsibility really seriously. One of the things that I don't have to be the one to do is payroll. Every week, I love to do payroll because it reminds me that what I have created has now allowed other people to provide for themselves and their family. And so whenever I think about my team, I know for sure without my team, I would not be able to get just even a fraction of what we get done. I remember one of the companies I worked for years ago, my boss was Scott Hansen, and he was the VP GM of the company. And I learned so much about what it meant to be a boss from him. And Scott, if you're watching this, because we're connected on LinkedIn, hey, I'm still wearing hats to work. It's a thing. I remember one of the funniest things. Scott was very professional and always suit and tie. I've heard that he's lightened the suit and tie thing. It's not always a thing now. But I remember asking him one day, he was passing through in front of my desk, which was in the reception area. I looked at him and I said, would there ever be a day that it would be appropriate for me to wear a hat to work? And he said, on a day I'm not here. And so I remember one day he was going to be gone and I wore a hat to work and I took a picture of it and I emailed it to him, so he didn't respond. I know he saw it. But I learned so much about what it meant to be a good boss. He knew that if he took care of his team would take care of the clients. And then because of those two things, that the business would be stable. And so the cost of losing an employee or a contractor or somebody you've been working with for years, it's a lot. So I'm going to give you an example. There's a woman that's going to be leaving working for us. She's been with me for 4 years. And I just found out Monday, and today's Wednesday. And I'm still processing. It's really a lot. And I'm so proud of her. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of her. The growth I've seen, her ability to communicate what she wants and what she needs. And just as a human, not counting as somebody who's been working for me. And so I feel like I know I'm not her mom. I know she has a mom. I know she has family. But I feel like I'm releasing this person, this human that I had been entrusted to mentor and guide and connect with. after over 4 years as like she's going to fly out on her own. And that feels so good to me because I know I made an impact in her life. I don't believe she's going to be gone completely. She's still going to be working some on projects that she can. So I'm still processing all this, but that got me thinking, what happens if you have somebody that's been working for you for 2, 3, 4 years, or even 6 months, and they know things? We are pretty good at documenting processes now. When we do anything more than once, there's supposed to be a process and an SOP attached to where we know if somebody leaves, the person that's going to pick up after them can go in and watch the video or the training and be able to pick it up the next day. And so for most of the projects, that's covered because we have a system in place for that, that most small business owners, entrepreneurs, founders don't. And so I'm highly aware that having these processes in place is really important. And I'm not super great at that. We actually had a woman that had been working with us for a couple of years and she retired last year. And she was really important. The success that we're having now is due in part largely because of her coming in and helping us set up the systems that we really needed. The woman that's leaving, the things that are in her brain that nobody else knows, that she's just been doing it for so long. I can literally send her a message and say, hey, can you do blah, blah, blah? And she would say, I've already done it, or it's in this place. Or because 9 times out of 10, I asked her for something to be done and it's already been done. That is a big part of what I call the code of the ninja. And that is a part of why we named the company Your Admin Ninja. When I was working for that company with Scott Hansen, another friend of mine was working there. And she asked me, we were crossing in the hall, she asked me for something. And I'm like, it's already on your chair. And she said, wow, you're just like a little ninja. And so when I created the company, that's where the name came from. And so think about the hard cost of having to retrain somebody, but also the intellectual cost of what it's going to take to this person that's leaving. I truly don't know that I can ever replace her. The tasks will be done and they'll be done. We have a great team, but replacing her, I can't. That's not going to be possible. So I just want you to think about it on the front end when you're onboarding somebody. If you want to set them up for success, what are the things that you want them to feel about working for you or being a client? How do you want them to communicate when there's an issue? How you onboard someone is so important. Showing appropriate appreciation is so important. Asking for feedback. What can I do better? That is the 3-part system of retention made simple. It's onboarding, appreciation, and feedback. And Friday at 12 noon Central, I'm going to be hosting a training that's about an hour long. We usually get done a little bit, like within 45 minutes to an hour. And every Friday at noon Central is when I host these. We're going to do a quick demo. So if you've never been exposed to Retention Made Simple before, you'll get a high level overview of what it is and some real life examples. People that are on the call, if they're willing to, I'll ask them some questions and I'll show how it would work in their business. If we don't have anybody that wants to answer questions, I'll just use some examples from people who have attended in the past or are current clients. Then I'm going to do what I call a sticky note retention tip. It's one tip that you can implement immediately. And this particular one is going to be talking about how you can add in retention into your company, whether it's your team or your clients, in 15 minutes a week. To where you don't have to do all the things, but once you start to do XYZ when it comes to your implementation of things, you build that in consistently, then it's going to allow that to grow and then you can add something else and continue to add. And so if you haven't ever attended a sticky note retention note training, sticky note retention tip training, maybe now's the time. If you've already attended one and you want to come back, please come back because each week it's going to be different because the examples that I share for the demo are different. The topic is different. And then I'm going to actually this week, depending on when you're watching this podcast or this video, between now and January 30th, I have a very special offer that you have to come to. I want you to come to the demo where you actually see what we're doing. And then I actually am going to be making an offer that you literally is the best offer I'm ever going to make for Retention Made Simple. And it's literally just for a little while. So sign up. The link below will be to sign up for the workshop if you want to get a copy of the Retention Made Simple book, which there it is right there. But I'm very able to point now just a little bit. So that's it. It's available on Amazon, but you can actually get it less from me. You get a signed copy and you'll pay less than you would on Amazon. If you want to get a copy of the book, you want to attend the training, or if you've already been watching a little bit and you want to know about the offer that I have, that's a very limited time offer, send me a message and I'll make sure you have all the information. So today, your action task is determine the cost of what it would take for you to replace your best employee or contractor or your best client. What is the cost? If they're paying you, if they're a client and they're paying you $2,000 a month, and you have all these process built in, you're already doing it, and then you have to replace that client, not only do you have to replace that money, but then you have to recreate all the processes. What's that going to take? It's not just the $2,000 a month they're paying. It's also all the work that goes in the backside to get them set up and going, and the potential referrals that they would have given you as well. For the employees, what's it going to cost you to train somebody new? In addition to, how do you get that intellectual IP out of somebody's brain into your systems? So once you have that cost in mind, I want you to think about the value of implementing a program like Retention Made Simple so you can keep your clients longer, keep your team longer, and get more referrals. And I know for sure that this works because I built my business completely on referrals. So I'm very proud I got through this without crying because I'm really still sad that the person's leaving. And Mercy, I'm so proud of her. Hope to see you Friday at noon Central. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, because I'm bringing people in a couple of times a month. If you want to be considered as a guest, let me know and I'll get you a form to fill out and we'll see if it makes sense to get you booked on the show. Remember, the fastest path to growth isn't always the next new client. It's strengthening your relationships with your current ones. And if you want to be a guest to share your tip or get personalized retention advice, check the show notes for details. Thanks for listening.